He is a Laker maniac, and he is the Archbishop of the Bronx Sexuals. Welcome back to Prince and Barty.
Welcome back to episode 126 of your favorite podcast. This is Prince and Barty. What's going on, bro?
Man, week one was crazy in the NFL season, man. We got so much to dive into. I'm ready to get it.
So much too, man. Like off air, me and Barty was in the lead with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a great game, man. Just got his payback with the Jets. We'll get to that in a minute. But Lamar Jackson and the Ravens fall short once again. Heartbreaking loss on the fumble of King Henry. What is it, man? Is Lamar Jackson just cursed, man? Like what does Stephen A say about the Cowboys? What can go wrong, will go wrong? Do we need to start putting that towards Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? Talk to me.
I think so. I think it's not just on Lamar. I think it's on Jim Harbaugh as well. When we look at the whole situation with Harbaugh does not put his players in position like he used to. When he won a Super Bowl the last time, remember he had the late, great Ray Lewis who was on the field directing the defense. Now he has Roquan Swift, and it's not a knock on Roquan, but Roquan cannot shine the cleats of Ray Lewis. That defense, Kyle Hamilton, that defense, Humphreys, that defense, Wiggins, all these guys gave up 41 points to Josh Allen. It was just merely Josh. The greatest skill positions on the field was Josh Allen and Cooks. And Cook didn't even have a 100-yard rushing game. Josh Allen threw for 394 yards, ran for 2 touchdowns, and passed for 2 touchdowns with B-list receivers. Can someone say Patrick Mahomes? That's what I saw last night.
Yeah, we talked about it, man. These guys are looking like all world. They looking like AB out there running these routes, all his receivers, man. With Shakir, all these guys out there balling, man. What's my other guy's name? The other receiver he got? Keon Coleman was out there. Florida State. So he was out there doing this thing, man. So now let's look at both sides. Now, if I'm Lamar Jackson, right, here's the thing. Whoever the Ravens play next week, I don't know who they play. We'll look that up in a second. But Lamar's going to kill them. The Ravens are going to kill next week. And that's kind of Lamar's MO. The big games, they'll kind of fold, and then they'll take their ravage out on the rest of the league, right? But mentally, when you get to these playoffs, you get to these wild card rounds, and you got to know in the back of your head that I gave this dude everything I had, and he still beat me. Or you're looking for the disaster to happen. It's funny, man. You say Harbaugh. Every time I see them struggle, Harbaugh just looks like a deer in headlights. He just looks like he doesn't know what to do. But when they're front running, he's dapping everybody up. He's hyped. But when it gets tight, he just kind of melts away. He did that, back in the day too, man. So it's just always his kind of MO, man. He just can't get it done. But Josh Allen, you got to feel good, man. You got to feel good. Just, you lost to Patty, got the MVP, come back strong. Listen, it's tough to win at Orchard Park, man. It kind of reminds me of winning in Utah in the days in the 90s, or trying to win in Denver against Joker. You not getting that dub, bro. Like, you gotta kill to ball out there, man. But what else you thinking, man?
Well, listen, let's jump into some of these other games, man. We saw what Danny Dimes was able to do with the Colts versus the Miami Dolphins. So I remember weeks ago, you was catching so much flack, but you said that the Dolphins may lose week one to the Colts. They didn't just lose, they got demolished 33-8. Listen, first off, I want to give my flowers to my co-host because he made the prediction. Shout out to Prince on the prediction. Dolphin fans, is it safe to say you guys may win 3 games this year? You might go 4-13.
Yeah, man, it looked bad. Like they was arguing in the first quarter. Tua, Waddle, Tyreek. It was bad, man. I just think like the camaraderie is not there. Mike McDaniel saying, you're one day closer to death every time you wake up. He's just talking crazy in his press conferences. The vibe is just all the way off, man, in the Dolphins. I don't know how it gets better. Because that defense, I'll give you your flowers. You said that defense is suspect. You said
Listen,
suspect.
the fact that Danny Dimes looked the way he looked, I mean, you know Danny Dimes more than anybody. He's been your quarterback for the last 3-4 years. This is the best game I've probably ever seen Danny Dimes in the history of Daniel Jones playing quarterback. That was his best game. He made no mistakes.
But you know what's crazy? Like you always say, systems make players, right? And that's a real thing. So you know what I liken it to? I liken it to Sam Darnold from Minnesota. He got in the right system and caught fire. You know what I'm saying? I think, and I love my Giants, and I'm glad Daniel Dimes is gone. Regardless, you know he balled out, but he never had no time to throw nothing for the Giants. You know we didn't have no world beater offensive line just to be 1,000. So I don't honestly know how Daniel Jones processed with time. When he did have a decent amount of time, we went to the playoffs. Dayball was the comeback coach of the year, coach of the year. And I'll give my boy Jonathan in Vegas some props, man. He said, listen, Daniel Jones with time is really going to be a good player. I laughed at first, but hey, he proven me wrong. But let's go to the payback, man. The big payback. Aaron Rodgers, man. Pittsburgh versus the Jets. He went over there through 4 tutties, over 200 yards passing, looking like the old Aaron Rodgers. Had some nice balls to DK and the rest of his receiving core, man. You know, it got dicey at the end. They won by a field goal, but you know, you look at all the revenge games from players, Braun going back to Cleveland, torching them. You know, any team, man, KD going back to OKC, torching them. You know, we've seen great athletes just take that challenge and give their former team the business. Now, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers? Are they for real? He looks comfortable. This is the best I've seen him in a long time, man. You know, I'm not trying to get too high or too low off of one game, but the Jets defense is not no slouch. You know, he was getting pressured and able to still scheme things away. I don't know because he has more space out there offensively, but what was Barty's takeaway from watching Aaron Rodgers do his thing?
You know what I saw, man? The AFC North is not a defensive division anymore. The only people playing defense in the North is probably the Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers gave up 32 points to Justin Fields, Brees Hall, and Garrett Wilson, which was a pedestrian offense with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had to sling the ball in order for them to win that game. He did his job. But if this is anything to predict the future of that division, the Ravens and the Steelers defense, man, they look like they got the worst pass defense in the league. Like they just letting everybody score on them. I've never seen anything like it. I'm happy that he got his win. He showed the Jets what time it was. But I'm a little bit afraid because you picked up the great cornerback from Ramsey from the Dolphins. You still got TJ Watt. You still got Alex Highsmith. And you gave up 32 points. So, you know, as I look, and I'll tell you this, Prince, one thing I looked at from all these games, especially from these games itself, is it me or is that all the defense being played in the NFC? And the AFC is the teams of the high power teams, like, you know, like the Golden State Warriors, like the Utah Jazz, like the Phoenix Suns. You know how they used to say the East back in the day with Jordan had defense, the West had the offense,
Right.
Phoenix and all these teams. That's what I'm seeing in the AFC. I don't see no defensive schemes. People talking about they played good for 3 quarters. If you give up 32 to 40 points, in my mind, I'm just telling you as a fantasy owner, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, man, it's definitely. I was shocked, man, how like easily teams were marching down the field. It was kind of crazy, man. You saw like Daniel Jones had like didn't he score in every drive in the first half?
Every drive, and listen, the AFC was putting together some offensive games like I never seen before in my life yesterday. And we must have had like 4 or 5 teams score 30 plus yesterday.
It's crazy, bro. But on the other side, I know they lost, but man, Justin Fields looked impressive, man. Had some nice plays balls, some great runs. You know he could always run, but to me his passing looks a little better. What'd you think?
I think that it's it was a revenge game for him. So he was trying to prove to Pittsburgh, this is why you didn't sign me. You know, when you look at the room of the Steelers didn't want to sign Fields. They didn't want to sign Rusty. They didn't want to sign just Jameis Winston, which is understandable. Nobody want to sign him. He throws a lot of picks. But, you know, Justin Fields proved that he can still quarterback in the NFL. You know, we had a lot of players yesterday that was proven we can still quarterback. Even Purdy. Purdy had some good he looked a little good in that 17-13 win with the 2 picks that he threw, but he still looked good versus the Seattle Seahawks.
Nah, for sure. Purdy did look good, man. Let's talk about some quarterbacks that kind of look good, man. Who do you think has the most pressure, to perform? Obviously, we saw Herbert, had a great showing against the Chiefs. And we're looking at our boy, man, in Jacksonville. What do you think? Which player do you think has the most pressure on him to perform?
No, we mentioned it already, but I have to say Lamar Jackson.
No, no, I mean out of Jacksonville's QB and Herbert, because both of them are kind of they're top draft picks, obviously the prototypical quarterbacks in Trevor Lawrence and Herbert. Which one of them do you think is going to take that next step, and which one do you think is going to be to remain the same?
Well, I mean, Herbert just never really he had the same argument we would always say with Joe Burrows. His defense wouldn't show up. So if his defense can hold a team, the way the NFL is set up, you hold the team to 20 points, it's a good chance you can win. I remember Tom Brady said in the Super Bowl, they only got 21. We can beat them. 3 touchdowns, not that hard to get in the NFL if you can get some turnovers. If you can get a change of possession real quick. To score 3 times is not hard. So to see what they did versus Patty, of course, without his receivers, but it's still versus Patty in a division foe. Jacksonville, on the other hand, they played well versus a decent team, and even Travis Hunter looked good. He played both sides of the ball. I think he had 6 snaps on defense, and he had like 20-something snaps on offense. So he did his thing. He even got a new haircut. Thought he was doing his thing with his little cut. He cut off the dreads. Uh, I think that Trevor Lawrence, he has some pressure, but the division that he's in is not as bad. But I think Herbert, because you're being measured against Patrick Mahomes, against Josh Allen, against like they put him in a class with the Lamars. So it's more pressure on him to perform. And if he can win the division, and at least I don't think he'll win the postseason, but make a run in the postseason, then there's an argument that he did what he needed to do this season, especially with him and Jim Harbaugh.
So let's go to the other side, man. We talked about Joe Burrow all offseason saying, hey, man, if you don't ball this year, you might be out of that top 5, possibly top 10. We know how good the Browns defense is. We know Myles Garrett, they got guys over there in Cleveland, regardless of all the drama. But Joe Burrow and that offense still look kind of pedestrian, man, to use Stephen A's term. What do you think about Joe Burrow and it looking kind of shaky, man? Even though you said I know the AFC's their defense is not that great, but what do you think about that expensive skill position team just looking kind of regular?
Remember what Jay-Z said, "If I shoot you, I'm famous." You know that line.
Yep.
So when you look at the whole situation, Joe has been famous from winning a national championship game. He's also been famous from beating Patrick Mahomes one time. One thing you have to understand, people don't realize this, you have to do things in sustained moments. Why we give Josh Allen credit more than Lamar is because he does it in sustained moments. Patty sustained moments. Jalen has beaten Patty 2 out of the 3 times that he's played him. Sustained moments. Joe Burrows, he's not sustained. There's no reason that you pay all that money to Jamar, you pay all that money to Higgins, you put all that money on offense, and you score 17 points on Sunday. Yes, it's a division foe. Yes, they know how to play you, but you only score 17 points. Some people will say pump the brakes. Some people say Joe will still have a good statistical year, but I see Joe Burrows as no more than a poor, well, I won't say poor, a middle class man's Dan Marino. Meaning that he's going to have the numbers, he's going to have great years with his receivers, but I truly can see him not win a ring. There's some quarterbacks in this era. As I'm looking at it, Prince, I really believe this. This is just what I believe. I can see Patty win 2 more. I can see Jalen win maybe 1 or 2 more. I can even see Josh sneaking in and win the Super Bowl. After what I've seen from Josh in these games, I think Josh can do it because he's not frightened by Patty. He's always a second short. But I think Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson will be the ones in this era not. They will be the Phillip Rivers of this era. They will be the one quarterback who has the great numbers, the great stats, will go down as a top 10 quarterback without a ring.
No, I agree, man. Shit, a lot of greats, Charles Barkley, Melo, a lot of these people never won. So I mean, nobody is above. You know what I mean? It's a lot of factors, luck, discipline, all kind of things got to be on your side for you to win, man. It's hard, especially in the football in NFL. But yeah, man, we had a great week. But let me talk to you about fantasy, man.
He's averaging 26 races on.
Did he live up to all the hype? No one can live up to this type of hype.
Now, it's time for the Prince and Barty Fantasy Talk. What you got for him, fellas?
I know you the commish. So talk to me in fantasy wise. How did the Lamar Jackson blunders and the Daniel Dimes and all these guys do? How did it go down as far as fantasy points?
I'm in 3 leagues this year. I'm in one free league I did for practice. Of course, we got the Prince and Barty Gauntlet. And of course, I have the other league I joined with the good fellas. When you look at all the people, man, if you had Josh Allen, you won last night. In our league, Josh Allen gave me 109 points in our league. 109 points. 25 yards. We know we give out points for rushing first downs and rushing touchdowns. So you see all those first downs that he got, and it was crucial. But then the thing is this. I went into last night's game, Prince. I was down. It was 157-80. I had the 2 biggest names in the game last night, Josh Allen and Henry. So, I got 170 points from 2 players last night. And I won 238-57. And then in the other league, I had Josh. Of course, I was already leading. Josh gave me 39 points in the low class fantasy. But Lamar itself, he still had a good game because he had 20-something points because of his rushing. But for some teams, they lost off of that fumble from Henry. For other teams, they lost off of the turnover. Some lost off of that last field goal by Prater. A lot of times things happen, and it blows it for a lot of teams. But what's crazy to me, Prince, and this is what's the craziest thing in the world, I went 3-0 in fantasy, but I went 0-3 at the bookie. So I don't know, man. I'm about to literally sit back and do some questions because, 2 of my games that I lost, as I sit back and think about it from the bookie standpoint, no knock to the Giants. The Giants had 5 sacks. They did their job defensively. But I'm learning now that they need Jackson Dart to be starting for New York. If Jackson Dart was in, I think there would have been more excel. I seen neighbors on the sidelines complaining. I didn't like that, and that's one reason why I believe the ticket didn't come in. And then also, you don't be up 16 points in 8 minutes and you lose the game. So, you win some, you lose some. Gambling can go either way. But I'm letting you know this now. I told you this off air, but I'm going to tell it to all the people. I'm dialing it back. I'm about to give you 2 picks every week, y'all. With 3 picks, we're going back to the 2-teamers because I don't know. The fantasy looking good, but right now we're going back to the 2-teamers. I went 0 for 3 yesterday. It don't make sense. And the teams that I bet on, they all basically were favorites. The only one that wasn't a favorite was the Giants. So I don't know, man. It's crazy.
It is, man. You know what I noticed too, man? Watching that Tampa Bay game, Ibuka, man, that rookie receiver was out there balling, man. He looks like he could be special. I'm sure a lot of fantasy owners are going to pick him up if they can, if they haven't already.
True. That is true. That is true. Mbuga had such a good game. All you can do is just pay homage to what he did. He looked good on the offensive side. But you know what I got to say, man? Shout out to Baker, man. Yeah. Baker still is slinging that rock. Tampa Bay is another team. This quiet is kept, Prince. I know this may sound crazy. The NFC is the better class this year. Tampa Bay, I think, is better. I think Green Bay is better. And then the Eagles, even though they gave up 20 points, they still held the team to 20 points without Jalen Carter. Imagine what they do when Carter comes back. So when you look at it, the AFC, as we said, is offensive, but if you can't stop nobody, how you going to beat somebody? We saw that with the Lions last year when Washington figured the Lions out. We saw that with Kansas City last year when Kansas City figured out the Buffalo Bills. It was defense that won the Super Bowl last year. It was the defense. And Eagles have a primetime offense, but when you look at our offense, technically, if you take away those turnovers, Kansas City played still a good enough defensive game. We had 2 scores off of defense in the Super Bowl. So when you look at it, defense still wins the game in the NFL. And when I'm looking at it, Green Bay's defense looks good. Tampa Bay's defense looked good. And Philly, without Jalen Carter, I'm not going to say they're a good defense, but I would put them as a bottom tier, top 10 defense. Bottom tier, meaning like 10 or even borderline 11. But when I look at these AFC defenses, even from a fantasy perspective, if your team scores 40 points, you get negative points on the defensive side. So it's a killer for a lot of these teams. But I'm looking forward to see what happens in week 2. But as far as fantasy goes, man, I'm 3-0. I'm good. I'm still trying to get that bag. So we'll see what happens.
No, for sure, man. Listen, I was locked in. Kids, wife, they knew, man. I was like, yo, this is a big week. Like, don't even, I'll holler at y'all in a minute, man. Nah, it didn't disappoint. The Ravens Bills didn't disappoint at all, man. Just as a thriller. It was one of them games where, man, it's funny. Barty called me this morning. He's like, bro, tell me you saw the game and you didn't fall asleep. Like, those are the games you don't want your boy telling you what happened. You don't want to see it on ESPN. You want to see it live. So, you know what's even crazier? Not to harp on that. What's crazier about the Ravens? They had so many iconic moments, from Derrick Henry's runs to that D-Hop catch. That D-Hop catch gave me chills, bro. I saw that. I was like, oh my God. It was one of the best catches. It's definitely one of the catches of the year for sure. And all that not to get the W, man.
You made a good point, and this would be good for our listeners to lock in, but it's empty calories, because really think about it. Remember, one of your greatest teams you loved was that Minnesota Viking team from '98. And what happened in the NFC Championship? Jamal Anderson was the story, the Dirty Bird, because they could not stop the teams. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's a killer. It definitely is a killer.
Nah, for sure, man. Like, let's quick NBA real quick.
Holding court with Prince. Our resident NBA guru, Prince, dives into all things basketball.
And, obviously they had the enshrinement, a lot of notable names: Sue Bird, Carmelo Anthony, the Redeem team got honored. Dwight Howard, a lot of greats, man. Like, let's talk to me about that. What do you think about the people who are inducted? Obviously, Sue Bird, one of the greatest women ever touch a ball. The Redeem team, one thing I'll give LeBron, man, he has a high level of respect for Kobe. Pretty much came out, was like, hey, we don't win this without Kobe. This feels good, but Kobe's not here to celebrate this with us, man. Just talk to us about the inductees and what they meant for their sports in particular.
The Redeem team is probably one of the best teams we've ever seen. Of course, we know what Kobe meant to the team. We know what LeBron meant to the team. Wade had his moments. Carmelo had his moments. But they definitely needed to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. But the name that jumps out at me the most, and I know everybody's going to think I'm going to say Melo or Dwight, but Sue Bird, man. When we talk a game of women's basketball, we mentioned Cynthia Cooper. We mentioned Cheryl Swoops. We talk about Caitlin Clark. We talk about, what's my girl on TV now? You know what I'm talking about. Young lady on TNT.
I got you. Oh my God, what's my girl name? Candace Parker.
But Sue Bird doesn't get the love she deserves. Sue is a consummate professional. She played a great career. She played a long time. She was a champion. I'm just happy that she's getting her flowers. We need to say more about Sue Bird. I've heard you say enough about Sue Bird, but from a landscape of Americans, a landscape of few NBA fans, Sue Bird needs more flowers. So I'm happy that she was inducted in. She deserves it. And I think the one thing that I really liked the most was, Carmelo's son giving his flowers in front of the crowd. That was dope.
Sure.
To have your son put that jacket on you and speak those words in front of the crowd, that's a memorable moment. Most times you'll have a player talk about you, but to have your own boy up there, and just imagine this. If he makes it pro, which he will, we'll be having maybe that same conversation for his son being enshrined in the Hall of Fame in the future.
No, 100%, man. But let's get into this financial playbook. Let's do a little pocket watching, man. So, according to Boardroom, they put out a list of the highest paid NFL careers of all time. Number 1, we got Aaron Rodgers, $394 million earned on the field. Matt Stafford, $369. Tom Brady, $3. 332. Kirk Cousins, oh my God, 321. Russell Wilson, 315. Is that list shocking to you, man? Kirk Cousins, hey, listen, Kirk Cousins' agent, that's the GOAT. Forget Braun or Michael Jordan. Kirk Cousins' agent, that's the GOAT.
Well, two things you got to remember: that you're always going to need a quarterback. You need a quarterback in football more than you need anything in any position of any sport. So you're gonna spend max money on quarterbacks. We got some bums that had some big time contracts. Michael Vick was still getting paid when he was in prison, because of the contract that he got. So when you look at certain situations, man, that bag is stupid. But to know that all these guys made more money than the GOAT Tom Brady, I shake my head totally for that. That makes no sense. I don't understand it. I don't think it's right. But hey, we'll see what happens.
For real. Another thing, man, let's go to our FanDuel betting odds, man. So they say who's winning the next Super Bowl. So this may change. So they got the Ravens up top plus 700. They got your Eagles plus 700. They tied for one. Number 3, they got Bills plus 750, Patty plus 850, and the Lions plus 1200. Now I'm sure after the loss, that's kind of probably rearranged a little bit, but what do you think about the Super Bowl odds and kind of how FanDuel sees it and Vegas sees it?
I think Patty should be 800 and not 850, just because we know what he's going to be at the end of the year. I think we're too high on the Ravens. After what I saw last night, like the thing is this: we were told at the beginning of the year on paper that this was the best secondary in the league. And I remember the breakdown from the Eagles when we won the Super Bowl, when we broke down after we lost the Super Bowl and we lost those 6 straight. We lost those 6 straight because our secondary was terrible. Bradbury was horrible. I mean, it's the same thing you seen Monday night with the Dory Jackson. But if you look at certain teams, you game plan for teams like that. You blitz more. You do things to make sure the quarterback doesn't feel free in the pocket. When I look at the Ravens defense, they should not be a plus 700. They should be more close along the line, 850. Bills, of course, look good, but if it's a toss-up between the Bills and Casey, you always take Casey because the quarterback coaches better. Eagles are right where they stand, but one team that should have been higher, they got to put Green Bay up there. Green Bay looks good, man. The flow to the ball, how they shut down the Lions yesterday. Mir Gibbs didn't even have 68 yards. Green Bay's defense, man, that was my biggest blunder of the weekend with Green Bay's defense. I didn't start Green Bay's defense in my regular league, and they get 11 points. Average defense gives you about 8 to 7 points. So if you get double figures from a defense, you start them every week.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, yeah, listen, man, we love the interaction with y'all, man. That Dolphins take is still going crazy, but look, we was right. Hey, they was calling us haters. They was calling us all kind of names. We South Florida sellouts, but hey, listen, what they say, the young boys, we know ball. And this was our podcast.
Hey, that's what it is, man. They can hate all they want, but you called it. Just like I keep calling Lamar not winning no championship, but I ain't saying nothing about that.
Yeah, man.
I ain't saying nothing about that. Barbershops hate me, salons hate me. Everybody in Pompano, people who go to Italy, they real mad at me right now. But I tell you this, I don't even say it. I just let it speak on the field. It's something. I don't even think the Ravens are cursed. I think Lamar Jackson and the Dallas Cowboys are cursed. Those are 2 people cursed in the NFL.
Man, that's what it's given, man. Man, we'll see, man. But we'll see you next time, episode 127, man. We'll be back with some more movie reviews. I know it's a lot of good movies coming out, man. So we'll definitely look into that. But what you looking forward to coming up?
Man, the new Conjuring came out. It's the last one. It's supposed to be the story of, that couple worked for the Roman Catholic Church. And most of these stories are based on true stories. So this is the last Conjuring. It's called The Conjuring Last Rites. Either I'm going to take the old lady to see it, or you know the deal. Me and you going to go run down and check it out ourselves. So we definitely got to catch that. But you already know what it is, man. I mean, other than that, it's not too many big movies coming out till next year. I think the movie skill has died down because of all these superhero movies. After you get the influx of the superhero movies, the fall normally be a little bit weak. So it's going to be probably weak. Spend time with your family, eat your turkey, watch some football, get ready for the NBA season, call it a day.
Yes, sir, man. You got it, man. It's episode 126. Make sure y'all tune in, like, comment, share, subscribe. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're gonna be doing a lot of like fan stuff, as you always hear at the end of our shows. A lot of different events. We pulling up on tailgates, so show us love, give us a shot when you see us in these streets, man. I'm Prince. That's Barty. We out of here.
You are now tuned into the greatest sports show on the planet. That's Prince, and he's Barty. And you're now listening to Prince and Barty. Buckle up. Prince and Barty will be doing live broadcasts at several locations around the country. Follow and like all Prince and Barty's social media pages for exclusive details. There will be game tournaments, sport trivia, best fan contest, and cash giveaways all night. This can be your chance to win big.